I feel like a rainy night on Valentine's Day weekend feels like the ideal time to check this movie out in the theater. Yeah, we're talking about Wuthering Heights, directed by Emerald Fennell, who brought you Promising Young Woman, one of my favorite movies to come out of the pandemic year. And this is, of course, based off of the famous book written by Emily Bronte, a book which I actually read amazingly enough in my senior year of high school in my AP English class. Yeah, this was part of the AP curriculum, Wuthering Heights. And we follow childhood friends Catherine Earnshaw, played here by Margot Robbie, and Heathcliff, played by Jacob Elordi, one of whom falls in love with the other. And this whole movie feels like a will they, won't they for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Actually, there's a lot more than that. Catherine marries into a wealthy family. Heathcliff kind of becomes a recluse and a scholar. Yeah, I mean, if you've read the book, there's some stuff that happens in it. Here's the deal, though. I forgot a lot of what happens in Wuthering Heights. I forgot how much this shit actually escalates. And I will say, the story itself really, really picks up for me, especially as you get closer to the finale and how this movie concludes. And what I will say, I think the biggest positive and the biggest takeaway I can get from Wuthering Heights, this movie's damn beautiful. Just in the cinematography and the shot composition by itself. Emerald Fennell got Linus Sandgren to be her DP. This is the same DP for American Hustle, La La Land, First Man, Don't Look Up. And he previously worked with Fennell on Saltburn, which is not necessarily one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. But, this guy's resume speaks for itself. He knows how to make a gorgeous-looking film with some immaculate framing. Emerald Fennell's direction and how she is blocking her actors in these shots. It's a match made in heaven, and that might honestly be the best part about Saltburn as well, which, honestly, I wasn't really the biggest fan of. I didn't review it when it initially came out, but I did go back and watch it, and it wasn't... I don't know. It didn't hit as much as Promising Young Woman did for me. Especially after I think I remember saying something along the lines of Emerald Fennell is one of the most promising new directors in Hollywood. And this is all not to say that Wuthering Heights is a bad outing for her. I don't think this movie is horrible by any stretch of the imagination. Especially when you take the technicals into account, the composition and the score as well is just Emerald Fennell, I think, definitely understands the time period that she's working in. And I think for a good chunk of it, at least in terms of the instrumental composition in the score, that captures the time period really well. The costume design is also so freaking beautiful. There's one wedding dress that Margot Robbie wears that is oh man, and she's walking through a field of green and it just stands out, the color. And speaking of Margot Robbie, her performance I definitely feel like is fabulous, and she is very famous at this point. She has definitely come a long way from our introduction to her in The Wolf of Wall Street. And yeah, this performance as Kathy is no exception. I thought she was a really great central character. Jacob Elordi, great follow-up as Heathcliff after he was a freaking star in the new Frankenstein movie as the creature. This man is on a massive roll, and I think he takes the role of Heathcliff and takes it into an edgier sort of way that I'm sure the book might have portrayed Heathcliff as. And again, this is coming from somebody who only read the book, briefly during my senior year of high school, and I don't remember a lot of the shit that went down. So I almost walked into this version of Wuthering Heights with fresh eyes. And the movie did have a couple of spots where it was consistently able to surprise me, especially as it got towards the finale. And there was a girl in our theater who was audibly sobbing. I swear to God, this is true. Lindsay was sitting with me, and I just hear muffled, sniffly noises, and then just full-on wails from this girl when something happens. But you know what? If a movie can affect you that way, that's awesome. I'm glad it did. I also feel like Wuthering Heights in general as a story, it's not going to be for everybody. Some people will definitely look at this and definitely think chick flick first and foremost. I didn't necessarily see it that way. I saw a lot of the drama definitely almost feeling like it was over-dramatized in terms of oh, this is starting to teeter into soap opera territory. My big issue with Wuthering Heights isn't necessarily the drama that goes down, because that part, you know, and the twists and turns, those are to be expected, and they were some pretty darn good twists and turns. My issue with that honestly feels like it's the build-up to get to that point. Because like I said, the relationship between Kathy and Heathcliff, if you've read the novel, it is very much will they, won't they. If that was one takeaway that I got from reading it, I was like, darn, why don't these two just get together? Why don't they just have all the fun that they can while they're at it? Who cares that she's married? Like, just end it already. Just get to it. We get the point. They really like each other. But no, Kathy has to be like, no, but we're best friends. This will affect us. And then later on, she's like, oh no, but I love you, Heathcliff. How will I ever live without you? And then the next time, oh no, but I'm already married to this rich guy who is very forgettable in the grand scheme of things. I don't even remember the guy's name. I think it's Edgar or something, but like... But it almost feels like a gigantic cock tease in a lot of cases, because it's like, okay, yeah, no, they're finally getting together, but no, something else gets in the way. But like, did you just love this guy? I mean, maybe that's the point of this, and I know a lot of people love this book. Our friend Lauren, dear friend Lauren, shout out to you. This is one of her favorite books ever. And she hasn't seen the movie yet, so I don't know if she is stumbling across this review and just hearing a lot of what she might deem as spoilers. I'm trying to be as vague as possible about all of this, honestly, because that's how you craft a respectful review, unless you say otherwise that I'm going to be spoiling a bunch of shit. But no, it honestly, like, this movie, like, in the grand scheme of things, is this one that I'm going to want to go back and rewatch over and over again? Probably not. It doesn't have to do with the fact that it's a chick flick, though. Please get that out of your head. I think a lot of that has to do with how this story was constructed, and I understand that Emerald Fennell had a lot of limitations as to, oh, you gotta follow the novel as faithfully as possible. And I can't speak on that. I can't speak on how faithful this actually is to the original source material, because I forgot a vast majority of what happens, like 98.5% of what happens. So I can't speak on that front. But in terms of the pacing, it definitely feels very repetitive until you get to like maybe the final half hour or so. Because that's the other thing. This movie is on the longer side, hovering around 2 hours and 15 minutes. To me, it felt longer than that. And I know in our spoiler review, Lindsay is going to disagree with me on that, because she has told me that it didn't feel long to her. And I think that's awesome. I think that's great. If you didn't have a problem with the pacing, bravo. You probably really love this movie. I thought it was a good movie. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a great movie or anything. It is carried over the hump, absolutely, despite its story holding it back. It is carried over the hump by the immaculate technicals, great production design, and stellar performances from your two leads. This will not be everybody's cup of tea. I will tell you that right now. And I don't even know if the hardcore fans of the book are going to love this film. But I think as it sits, it's another solid entry for Emerald Fennell into her filmography, and I can definitely tell you that the promise in her is still there, especially after the craziness that was Promising Young Woman. I still love that movie to no end. As far as this one goes, though, I'm going to give Wuthering Heights a B-. And I can't wait to see what's next for Margot Robbie. Can't wait to see what's next for Jacob Elordi, especially after this was his big follow-up to Frankenstein. Let me know what you thought. Did you guys read Wuthering Heights when you were in school? I know I'm probably one of the only ones who read it when he was in high school. I don't know what high school curriculums are looking like these days in English classes. Some of you might be able to correct me on that. But I love getting in front of this camera and talking all things in the cinematic world. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and tap that thumbs up as well. And please also consider subscribing to my second channel that I share with my lovely partner, Lindsay, the Z&L Magic Crew. We're going to have spoiler reviews for a lot of the movies that we see together in the theaters, as well as a whole bevy of other content that is hitting the pipeline, and I can't wait to show you what's in store. Thank you so much again for your continued support, my friends. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk commence.